Good morning. I'm thinking that we could jump right in. I do think people are going to trickle in. They tend to come in between 11:05 and 11:10, but let's go ahead and get started. Is that all right with you, Rego?
Fine with me.
Beautiful. Welcome, beautiful fellows. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Here it happens to be good morning in Jerusalem, Israel, and we happen to be in the same time zone, Afro-Euro Timezone, with our guest Rego M. My name is Karen A, and I am your host today. And this is a Reco12 podcast in the Afro-Euro Timezone. Thank you, God. Reco12 is a family of recovery resources for all those who are still suffering of addiction, affliction, codependency, Al-Anonism, and you name it, whether substance, food, people, or otherwise. You can check us out on Reco12.com. And to participate in your seventh tradition, you can go to Reco12.com/support. We're happy to accept donations by PayPal or Venmo, and your contribution helps. It is my honor and my privilege to host a fellow who is a new friend of mine, Rego M from South Africa. He'll introduce himself and share his recovery experience, strength, and hope. Sorry about that. My phone. My phone has turned into an emergency medical walkie-talkie temporarily. So I will mute myself and let Rego jump right in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Hey guys, my name is Reco and I'm an alcoholic. I say I'm an alcoholic because that's one of the most important things I will say. Yeah. And through the grace that I found in this program, I have stayed away from a drink from December 2nd, 2021. And for that, I'm grateful. The topic of my share today was to share a little bit on my experience, strength, and my hope. But I wanted to share it in a way where I never saw it at the time. Because my original story sounds like everything is against me. No worries. And I never understood. So I grew up in a loving family. Mom and dad were both working hard for us during the transition of our country's political state. And so I was in quite very modeled seed schools, I could put it that way. They used to call them. So it looked well for us. I though believed that we were poor because my friends' parents had more things than what we did. But however, my peers around me had less. So the other weird disposition I had when I was young was that I always needed people around me. So my cousins would come visit and my mom would say, please, don't tell them that they should stay. They should leave when they leave. And I would wait for minute 99 and then say, hey, why don't they stay over? Very manipulative. But however, that went on through my life because now that I understand that I needed people around me to fill my void, and that didn't work. So I got up to university. And I was a church going boy. So before uni, I was a worship leader. I went to Bible school. I did Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, name it, eschatological studies. We know it, We could break down and dissect Hebrew words and Greek words like to the core and to the T. And I thought I had it made. That is my understanding of my God. So I drank. It was the first year of university. So in amongst all of this, I've just been sipping my dad's drinks, like when we are naughty. We take the whiskey, put it in the cup and sip it, right? And then you put a little bit of rooibos in it just to balance it out. So, but when I was 18, I grew up very, very church boyish. So when I was 18, I could make my own decisions. And I was like, I choose to drink alcohol. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to do it. So this one time, the wind was blowing right. The sun was setting perfectly. The temperature of the room was perfect. And we decided to go play pool. I was with my friends from school. So we played pool. And while we were playing pool, I decided to grab a manly drink. And I drank a Hunter's Gold. Ain't manly, nothing manly about that. It was a little sweet cider. But what happened is my head started spinning. And my religious convictions started kicking in. And I ran away to my residence and locked myself in my room and prayed to the God that I studied. And I followed to not split open the earth and swallow me whole to the pits of hell because I have committed a great sin. I've drank alcohol. And I slept in fear that night. And when I woke up in the morning, I was still there. And I was like, okay, there's something else. So when I continued right down on the journey, I started using that basis. If I'm okay today, so I'm starting that thinking process now. So the next Saturday, we went and played pool again. And this time I had my Hunter's Gold and I added tequila in it. My goodness. When that tequila started warming my body up on the inside, everyone around me started high-fiving me. Everybody wanted to hear my story because I was talking a lot and everybody seemed like they were so interested in me. My life changed. The third time I went and drank, and this time I didn't go back to Res and cry myself to sleep and wish that my creator will not swallow me, So this time around I went to the next time around the university, our residence pool, the swimming pool, was having a birthday party. And it was its second or third birthday party. And I was the first year. And the seniors were making punch. And we had to, so they said, Reco, can you bring me a punch? And so this one senior said, Reco, can you bring me 2 punch, please? And I brought 2. And he drank one. He took one and he said he can't drink 2 at a time and I need to drink the other one. So I thought I would sip it. And he said, no, you need to down it. And I drank. I saw the bottom of the cup. I saw the clouds. And all I remember from there on was tomorrow morning I saw a video of myself when they said, Reco, go to sleep. And I said, I don't want to sleep, just play some Celine Dion and I'll be okay. I guess even in my intoxicated state, my heart was still going on. So that progressed. I went through My drinking, then now out of university, I started working. I could earn my own money, and now I could pay for my own drinks, and I didn't have to worry about mama see me, mama doesn't see me type of thing, you know? And so I drank like a normal person. I think it was a little bit more than everyone and handled yourself better than them. That was what normal I believed was. So that's how I drank. And then some moments my control slipped away. I would lose my drinking space or lose the fact that I had to drive and wake up in a place where I should not be. Wake up with people that I don't know. And then I thought I just had to control my drinking, so I switched. I switched my drinking. No, this whole cheap beers thing doesn't work for me, so now I'm going to drink some craft beers, right? Now I'm not going to drink any of this cheap drinking stuff. Now I'm going to drink all this craft alcohol, you know? And I went on this craft journey, and I could speak the language, you know? And I looked like a Mr. Know-It-All. I looked like I had it all figured out. But every time I put those drinks in me, it did the same thing. Incomprehensible demoralization. And I asked myself, where am I? How is this possible? So I continued on the journey some years after that, up until the year of 2021, where in September, I was called in for a disciplinary hearing, and they charged me with my drinking and everything, and I was like, bullshit. I'm the best thing that ever happened to you guys. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. What do you mean? So I went to the disciplinary. Before I went to the disciplinary, I sat down and I Googled how to win a disciplinary for being drunk at work. I think that's the first time I wrote the truth when I asked Google. Because all the time I only drank the night before. I never drank on the day. And it told me on Google that alcoholism is a disease. I was like, what? I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I somewhat saw something about AA or whatever. Carried on, lost my job. Well, my ego came in and I was like, you don't need to fire me. I'll leave. I plead guilty to all the charges. And also, just by the way, you're answering that question wrong. I tell my boss. I was like, this is how you're supposed to answer it, because based on your disciplinary code and the ethics code and our code of conduct, this is how I've actually breached the code of conduct. I was arrogant. And I left that place. I cried my way from the room because I was very strong in the room. I cried myself from the room to my car and back home. I told my then fiancée what happened. It's okay, baby, we'll get it sorted. But we did not know that the problem doesn't lie with everything out there. The drinking got worse. And by December, she was leaving. I was checking out. I wanted to do the ultimate self-sacrifice, the ultimate expression of self-will, to check out. That didn't work out, so I failed in life. I failed in my career. I'm failing in my relationship. My God is failing me, definitely. I mean, look at where I am. It has nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with everyone out there. Then I made a phone call to a friend and I said, I need help. And he said, there's this maintenance program called AA. And at that moment, I was like, oh, okay. So my idea of AA was like, when I bring in my car, we're going to service it quickly, do a diagnostic, and then send it out, you know? So I came in here thinking that I'm going to get this elusive golden certificate. So I memorized the book. I read some stuff. I can quote literature, use very nice things, to make it sound amazing. But yet I did not change. So I'll tell you the story about that. So I got into AA on the 2nd of December. I made a phone call and an old man said, 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. I was like, man, you don't know me, But anyway, it was the first time I heard something like that. It was profound. I think that was my first personality change. Then I got into these rooms, and then you guys, I didn't come in here as an alcoholic. I came in here just as a normal drunk. I just fucked up my life. I just needed to, rest my nerves and I'll be okay. No, it wasn't that. When I came in here and realized that you guys are telling me that if I cannot control my drinking, and I obsess about not having a drink, and when I don't drink, it gets worse, I'm probably alcoholic. I was like, bullshit, not me. Do you know who I am? I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. Yeah, but you are here. Now I'm not going to be here for too long. So I tried to do the steps by myself and go through the book by myself, and it took me 10.5 months of pain and hell. And I asked myself one day, why? What else is there? This cannot be it. I memorized the book. I can see some fancy things about the book. I've even went into the history of AA. I'm doing the steps. Yes, I'm powerless over alcohol. My life is unmanageable. Why are you not fixing it? Came to believe that the power is, I was like, yes, I'm here. I believe in you. So why are you not fixing it? Made a decision to tell, I'm turning my life over to you. I said that for a reason. Why are you not fixing it? Rigorous inventory. Yeah, sure, I've written stuff and I've PDF'd it and sent it to my sponsor. So why are you not fixing it? Spoken to my sponsor, I gave him an overall view, all right? Because he's got the papers, he can read for himself. But why are you not fixing it? Step 6, step 7, why? There's my character defects. I already sent it to you on a list. Why are you not fixing it? Made a list of all people I had harmed. I made a list of all people. I did it on my step 4. Why are you not fixing it? Go do it. No, you're not fixing it. I haven't changed. That was my arrogance stopping at the time. There was a time of surrender. Now this time around, I realized when I had a question, something questioned to me in a meeting, it was saying to me, it said, you know exactly where you are. If you are honestly true with yourself, the level of program you have is exactly where you know you have to be, and you know that in your heart, that the speaker said, what to do. I became more honest with myself, and I said, Reco, yes, you half-assed this thing. The program is outlined in the book, but so what? You can regurgitate the information. What does the pauses and the commas actually say? And I opened my book in the beginning, and it says this is a story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. I read that so many times, I even skipped it. But that was my first promise. I said, okay, so how did these guys do it? And in the preface, it told me that this book, this blue book, mine is blue and it's falling apart right now. Oh, my thingy doesn't allow it. It says this book has become the basic text of the society, which helped a large number of alcoholic men and women to recover. And I was like, oh, okay. So you're telling me that this book helped people to recover? I mean, I did it. I did the 1990, right? I did my day counts, right? I did the 1 day at a time. I called other alcoholics, right? But why didn't I feel like I'm recovering? What's going on with me? It says that, therefore, the first portion of this book describes the AA recovery program. I was on the program of Rego in AA. I wasn't on the program of recovery. The program of recovery, when I took a position on the 19th of January this year to say, you know what, I will learn this beautiful book. And I will forever be a student of this book. And what else can I give after I've learned, because I don't want to be great. I just want to be part of. I just want to be part of the greater scheme. And how am I going to do that? So I started paging through this book with another fellow. It's crazy because at the time when I needed somebody to walk this road with, she called me and she says, I don't know why I'm calling you, as like it does not matter. You need program, I need program. There's the book. Let us go read it. Because when two alcoholics gather, magic happens. When I gathered with my drinking friends, magic happened when we were drinking. This time we are gathering for the reason of recovery. This is the first time I did something like this, okay? So what does the book say? It started with Bill's story. First, actually, the doctor's opinion. There's so much in there. It'll take me like a couple of days to share that, but I will share this last part where he says, he says, I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through. And though perhaps he came to scoff, he may remain to pray. I scoffed. But this time around, something was different. I knew that if I honestly face this book the way it's written, it will change. And I went and I said, why am I doing this? And step 12 says, having had a spiritual awakening. I was like, okay, so I want the spiritual awakening. And I beckoned with my higher power. I was like, if we're doing this, I am going to follow everything in here. And if you don't meet me halfway, then AA does not work. Then what they wrote in this book is a lie. Oh, then he took me seriously. I started ticking in Bill's story. I tick everything that like reads true to me, you know. I have so many ticks here, it's crazy. I was lonely and I turned to alcohol. That's what I used to do. And now I understand. I was like, wait, this man who's talking in the story, I relate so much with him, because in the beginning when I read, I was like, yeah, I'm not a stockbroker. I mean, like, they won't understand my job, you know. Yeah, I've got a host of fair weather friends. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? And as I continued to just progress, I got to a point where it speaks about what alcoholism really is. But before that, it told me that there is a solution. And this is the reason why I needed a sponsor. Page 18, third paragraph. It says, but the ex-problem drinker, but your sponsor, who has found the solution, which means has gone through this book, done the steps, right? Through this book, right? Who's probably armed about the facts of himself, right? Generally can win an entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours, and that's what my sponsor did. It didn't happen now in a few hours. It happens over phone calls if you add the time. He had something that I was looking for, and I tried to find without asking for help. It's very difficult to find something when you don't know what you're looking for. So when I understood that at least this man has a solution, and I continued with the book, I had to do a few simple things that I had to remember. And when I got to the next part, I understood why my mind does what it does with alcohol. I used to like wake up on Sunday morning and say, I am not gonna drink. I will be by the bottle store before it opens. I don't even get to church on time. You know what I mean? So something is different. I was like, when I'm mildly seldomly intoxicated, Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That was me. And this book said that. And I started now becoming intertwined with what it's saying. And I was like, I understand that. So, but what do I do? Page 25 tells me I need to choose, buddy. Either I go on to the bitter end, drinking myself into a coma, or whatever other extramural activities I would partake in. Or accept spiritual help, full stop. This time, remember, I'm pausing at the full stops and the commas. Why does the previous one, where it explains my life that I choose, is so descriptive, but yet spiritual help has no description? There must be more. So I continued on my journey through this beautiful book. And when I got to more about alcoholism, I thought the first step of the steps were I admitted I was powerless over alcohol. No, I was mistaken. On page 30, it mentions that we learned that we had to fully concede within our innermost self that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. I missed this step. What a shame it would have been if I was building a beautiful building and forgot the foundation. It will come tumbling down. And I've experienced that. Do the steps the way it's written on the walls. I mean, it's a summary, but a book helps us to get through it. Because as I go through this book, my perception changes. I'm questioned by certain facts about myself, that I am the only one who can question those things about me. And I'm the only one who can speak the truth to myself about me. And I'm the only one who can express that truth on a piece of paper. No one else can express that beyond myself. And that is my last will, my last power, my last use of my own will before it changes. When I got to We Agnostics, I thought, now you're chapter 3, chapter 4, step 4. No. I had to now look at what I think about this God of mine. So I had all this whole idea about this God, but still wasn't doing much for me. Then the book says, how about I do 3 simple steps? Why don't you lay aside prejudices, Reco? Okay. What do you mean by that? Your thoughts, your ideas, how you grew up and what you think is right and what's wrong and everything. Hey, difficult, but I gotta do it. So I write down what my prejudices are and I become real with it. And then it says I need to get this willingness. And willingness always sings true to page 317. When I'm willing to do the right thing, I am surmounted with a peace that I cannot even master. You know what I mean? But if I'm unwilling, I'm not going to get into acceptance and I'm not going to move. And then the third thing it asked me to do is to have my own conception of God. Hey, much to my relief, we discovered that we did not need another's conception because I didn't want to come to another church. I needed a solution. And this book says powerlessness. It says lack of power was my dilemma. We had to find the power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves. And then the shortest sentence in the big book, obviously. There's 2. The other one, find it. And so if I don't have power, and I'm going through this book and I'm understanding the hopelessness that I have in trying to beat it by myself, understanding that I've tried everything to try and beat it by myself and it still didn't work. If I lay aside prejudices that I think I got it covered, if I lay aside my prejudices to think that, God only helps those who help themselves, maybe I can start to make a beginning. And that's what the book says. I make a beginning. And when I make a beginning now, it says it's all that we needed to start. That at the start, this was all we needed to commence the spiritual growth. Page 68, perhaps there is a better way. They believed so. So I'm finding it. So I get into my next chapter, and as I read, it gives me a summary of what they have done. That really, have they seen a person who has failed, who followed their path? What is their path? It's the path of following the steps as laid out in this big book. They didn't have the big book at then. And they only had 6 steps. But our path now, once this volume has been completed, is to do the work from page 1 to page 164. Actually, from the preface, from the title, when you get into it, I mean, you even look at the hardcover. I'm just being over dramatic there. But anyway. So at this time when I changed and I found this God, my conception of God, now I can no longer look at the program and say, I don't believe in this God and this God and this God. No, because no, from now on, it's my God. My conception. However inadequate, it was enough for me to make my beginning. So with my new God, I walk now into the next phase of this. And that's when now I need to humbly offer myself to my higher power. Ish. Okay. But it's my God now. So my characteristics of my God, my one is funny. Like, it's very sarcastic as well, because my humor is very sarcastic. So, but I get it. That's for me is love. Well, from him, not from everyone else out there, because, it might have some other plans. But anyway, as I continued, and they gave me a little summary. At this point is the crux where I need to make. If I quit playing God, everyone says turn your life over. No, there's no turning your life over. It's making a decision. That's what the book says. I need to make a decision now. I'm not turning anything over. I'm making a decision to say I am committing to the remainder of this book in order for me to get a spiritual experience. When I sincerely took such a position, 63 on top, all sorts of remarkable things followed. I had a new employer. Being all powerful, he began to provide what I needed if I kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, I became less and less interested in myself and my little plans, my designs. More and more I became interested in seeing what I could contribute to this life. Here's the promise. As I felt new power flow in, as I enjoyed peace of mind, as I discovered I could face life successfully, as I became conscious of his presence, I began to lose my fear of today, tomorrow, and hereafter. I was reborn. Ooh, we need to be reborn for the next step. So when I moved on to the next one, is that page, the 4th step that everyone freaks out about? No. I'm writing inventory of a dead man. I died previously now, right? The old man is dead. Now I got a new employer. I'm a new man. I'm a new agent. I got new things now. So now I'm going to write inventory of a dead man. And that's much more easier than beating myself down with a stick. So I pause and I ask the big book, what must I do now? It says write inventory. I have a story of inventory, how, when you go on holiday and you look at your bag, and you know that you have to have a couple of things in there. When you do your mind check quickly, you look at your bag and you're like, oh, okay, I've got those shoes that I have from 1962 that I bought on this day and that day and this day and this day and this day. I've worn it on these occasions and everything. Check, I've got that shoe. Okay, my next shoe. This shoe was bought in 2003 and did blah, 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 blah. I doubt that's how we check inventory when we pack our bags when we're going home. When we're going on holiday, we don't pack our bags like that. How do we take inventory? Lists. We take lists. Damn. No, Reco, you're bringing these new things up. Don't worry, my big book, they add new things every night when I sleep. When I wake up, there ain't new stuff in there. So the book says, okay, when do I do my step 4? It says at once. Wait. I need to wait 6 months. No. Next we launch. Okay. And then when do we do this? At once. Okay, what do we do? We're making a list. We're going to write about stuff of this dead guy, right? So it says, okay, resentments are the number one offender. They kill all of us out of its stem. Very important, because a stem has branches. Branches bear fruit. There's a seed that we need to find. How do I find that? Resentments, okay. So the book tells me that when the spiritual malady is overcome, which means this resentment's been killing me, I will strengthen out mentally and physically. So in dealing with resentments, what do I do? We set them on paper. Okay, pause. Is that a full stop? Yes, it is. So let me run quickly and go get a piece of paper. Come back and sit down. Obviously, when you set something on paper, you need a pen. So bring that too. What do I do? We listed people. Cool. One column, people. What am I listing there? Just people. Oh. No, that's strange. I'm going to list a story. When I was young in 2000 and what going to happen is this and this. No. Hold up. The instructions are clear as day. Just list the people. So I list people. I list names. Piti, Sunny, John, Peter. Okay. Which type of people am I listing though? Because further on it says, I listed those whom we were angry with. So those who've made me angry. And is there anything else that's said after that? Nope, full stop. Oh, whoa, I can do that. So I sit on the side. I take my piece of paper. That was my one instruction. Or I bring a pen because I'm a forward thinker. And I write names on a piece of paper. That's it. Of what? Of people who've made me angry. Of institutions that made me angry. And principles that made me angry. There's a lot of principles that made me angry. There's some in this program that made me angry. Our troubles are of our own making. Oh, you don't start with me. You don't know. Yo, bro, you got to surrender to win. Hey, bro, hold up. Do you know how my life has been hard? So you write those things down. Because why? I don't know. Let's follow the steps. Let's see if we're just reading line by line what's happening. And it says, in most cases, we found that our self-esteem, it looks like multiple choice, SE for self-esteem, PB for pocketbook, A for ambitions, personal relationships is PR, including sex, were hurt, H, or threatened, TH. Cool. But now, how do I know that these things were hurt, right? Because it says here that I needed to ask myself, why was I angry? And that's column 2. So I have my paper. So where am I going to put these names? No, you have a list of names. Here it is, my list of names, right? And on this list, I've got all the names of the people, the places, the institutions, and everything. And now it says, we ask ourselves why we were angry. Oh, okay. I write now. Just name, line. Piti, I was angry. Oh, I was angry at Piti because Piti, you know what he did? No. Remember, it's lists. That's all it is. It's an inventory. It's just lists. Why am I angry? Man, he made a snide comment. Okay. And then I used the multiple choice to check what it affected. But what I've learned is you start from the bottom and go down. Don't go across. When my mind starts thinking of the names, I start uncovering some other people. I was like, man, I even forgot that you existed. Roots, stem, from seed. We're not responsible for the seeds, but we are responsible for maintaining them. And how do we know what to maintain, what to look out for? This inventory helps us. So we continue, and I encourage you to read a line and pause in this from here, because 52, yes, 52 is the bedevilments. It speaks about I'm having problems with personal relations and all this and all this. I can't make living. I'm prey to misery and depression. And 30 pages later, it says, as God's people, we stand on our feet. We do not crawl before anyone. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, what do we need to be painstaking about? These 30 pages in between. Where does the answer lie between these 30 pages? And it's simple. But it's not easy to do it alone. Because imagine I'm sitting in my tornado. It's everything. I see just a storm. And I'm trying to advise myself that there is a better way. How can darkness see light? Dark can only see dark. I remember Bane. You think darkness is your ally. You merely adopted the dark. You know? And he says, I was born in it. And what are we? By finding this power, I'll spend this last minute speaking about it. By finding this power in this program, by finding a God, but more importantly, a newfound friend, page 14, I think, has opened up an opportunity for me to live life in this life and not worry about the next life, because what I learn here, I believe that it's going to be a continuation of the next. And you know, so what we call God, higher power, whatever different names, I don't think the creator of this universe actually has an identity crisis. I think we do. We don't know. And yet, if you say it differently, I want to reject it as because it's not from me. No. I was like that when I was a religious kid. But being spiritual, perhaps there is a better way. We believe so. Because I have to read it. Because it's a basis on perhaps there is a better way. We think so. For we are now on a different basis. The basis of trusting and relying upon God. We trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We are in the world to play the role He assigns. I'm an agent. Just to the extent that He would have us, just to the extent that we do so as we think He would have us, and humbly rely upon Him, does He enable us to match calamity with serenity. And then we never apologize to anyone for depending upon our Creator. We can laugh at those who think spirituality is a way of weakness. Paradoxically, is a way of strength. Alcoholics Anonymous is full of a lot of paradoxes. Let go to gain. pick up to loosen, if I pick up the actions, I loosen the weight. It's also weird. But my one that I'll close with is the 12 and 12, page 125. And it says something magical about the 12th step, and this is the deal here. This is what we are looking for. It says, still more wonderful is the feeling that we do not have to be specially distinguished amongst our fellows in order to be useful or profoundly happy. Not many of us can be leaders of prominence, nor do we wish to be. Service gladly rendered, obligations squarely met, troubles well accepted or solved with God's help, the knowledge that at home and at the world outside, we are partners in a common effort. The well understood fact that in God's sight, all human beings are important. The proof that love freely given surely brings a full return. The certainty that we are no longer isolated and alone in self-constructed prisons. The surety that we need no longer be square pegs in round holes, but can fit and belong in God's scheme of things. These are the permanent and legitimate satisfactions of right living, for which no amount of pomp and circumstance, no heap of material possession could possibly be substitute. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is a deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. And as we continue with our days today and with our journey in recovery, I had a call to action once that said, if I look at the truth within myself, where am I really? And I'm going to leave you guys with a piece of the Great Spirit prayer, which says, I seek strength, not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes. So when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. Thank you.
Wow. That is amazing. And that prayer is so amazing. I'm for sure you're speaking directly to me, and you know what's going on in my step 10, 11, and 12 in my heart. And I'm sure everyone else feels that way. Reho, can we do a few questions? Would that be all right with you? That's usually amazing.
That'll be perfect.
Or commented on it in the chat. And I also related that when I wake up, there's, a few more magical passages in the big book. And certainly throughout the day, several new ones pop into my head. So we're reborn, right? And most of us here in the Reco12 family, we're long timers, right? We're having to take this step 3 prayer daily and often. And we don't have necessarily the buzz of the newcomer who's, seeing the world with pink glasses for the first time. Talk to me about when you're not reborn, but when you're re-dead. When you have a bad moment, a bad day, when you pick up self-will, when you, gosh, there's so much you said that I loved, when yourself, that greatest enemy is starting up with you and, pinning you down to the mat and getting you to all angles. Can you share about that? Maybe you don't have bad days.
Bad days. Ooh, bad days are always there. The one big thing, Karen, that I learned is just to find balance. Mickey Bush said it, pause, postpone action until serenity enters. Most of my troubles all my troubles are of my own making. So if I can pause before I act, I have that moment where the morning prayer upon awakening says we relax and take it easy. So if I pause, I'm able to relax and take it easy. And that is the most important thing, because I'm an alki. So already today, for instance, this starts at 11. I've got an interview at 10:30. The month before, at the end of the month when I came back from school, I lost my job. And everyone was like, bro, you look like you got it figured out. I was like, no, I don't have it figured out. It's just that now I have hope, because I've been through this and my power taken me through it. So why should I stay? Because I beat myself when I got a job last time, and I said, Reco, you missed valuable times that you could have spent with your maker, stressing and worrying about things that were going to be sorted because it was out of your control anyway. So why stress? It doesn't mean I don't stress. I stress a lot. But I'm now able to see it and say, hey, dude, self-will. And I tell a joke to my higher power, and he tells the joke back, and we laugh. Because it's funny when I make plans. And I can run it past him and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And he normally says, okay. So is this the right thing or the wrong thing to do? It looks nice. I mean, that's how my higher power speaks to me. It never says, get up, do 2 backflips, and stop, drop, and roll. No. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, because I'm his agent, he doesn't give me cliff notes. Sorry, he doesn't give me cliff notes to say, today, a taxi is going to come past you, and this is what you're going to say. This is how you're going to act, and this is where you're going to drive. No. I don't have the script. So I should be comfortable with not knowing the script. The moment I know the script, I am going to rearrange everything around me to work in the way that it shouldn't. And the most important thing is that I'm just the actor. If I'm the guy who's supposed to sweep the floor, let me sweep the floor and let me be good at it. I don't know if you've actually tried to use a butter knife to take a screw out. It's quite frustrating because the butter knife is not created for that. But however, if you take a screwdriver and try to butter bread, that's also not going to work. So we've been created for something magical. But how do we find it? Page 55. Anywhere else to search for it. Deep within yourself. That's it. That's where he hid it. That's where he or she, that's where our higher power hid it. If you want to know the meaning of life, he hid it right there. If you want to know why, if I wanted to know all of these things that I went on retreats, self-help books and all this, and he hid it all inside of me. There is a condition in the big book that I think we overlook a lot. And that's in the step 3. So if this is the foundational step, there's a condition that we miss. And it's not that, no, God is not going to do that for you. No. It's just that it says here, where's that if? If we kept close to him, step 11, and performed his work well, step 12. This book is littered with step 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. It's like we're doing a healing waltz, because as we walk in the program, we heal. We heal us, that heals others. People around you start saying, I feel so much better when I've spoken to you. So that's why when I hold on everything and I don't speak to anyone else out there, I am overwhelmed with the grace. And I think that's why I feel a little bit ashamed or something. And that's why I start beating myself. Because how can I sit with this answer and just For instance, quickly, just popped into my mind. Bill Dodson, alcoholic number three. He said something to Henrietta, and I underlined it. He said, Henrietta, the Lord has been so wonderful to me, curing me of this terrible disease that I just want to keep talking about it and telling people. I thought, yes, it is attraction. It's not promotion. But those who are already attracted and have come to the meeting, why am I too busy with my group of people? Who's going to help that newcomer? Who's going to tell that person? Someone told me that you're a good man when I walked in the door. Who's going to tell it to that guy? Because at the time I didn't believe it. I cried. But as time progressed, I could. So who's going to start questioning those delusions that we walk in with? If not us, armed with the facts about ourselves, with a spiritual experience. And I mean, it's not just what you feel, it's what you see. It's what's everything around you, how nature responds to you. I've got plants, indoor plants, over 200 of them. When I was spiritually sick, I lost a lot of plants. And I realized, and I went back to basics. Now I'm making cuttings of plants. My plants are thriving now. And it's not the season. Plants know, just like nature knows. We are the only ones who struggles to understand. And that's why we need the 12 steps. You know, I'll just share this quickly as well. Carbon has 12 atoms. It takes 12 steps to break us into a usable form. And we're all carbon. You know? So why not break the bonds that bind us to this world because we are carbon. So if I start with my step one, I start breaking those carbon bonds. And they're very tight bonds. I mean, they're bonds that make diamonds. So what does it mean if we are able to break up our carbon strands? I believe then we will sparkle like stars.
Amazing. So moved by you. I have another question. For the long timer, we know the big book says that Bill struggled with joblessness, depression. He wasn't necessarily honky-dory, though. Thankfully, he was living in 10, 11, and 12. Can you share something personal, experience, strength, and hope when you lost your faith in God, or maybe I hope for you it hasn't happened, but I'm finding lately, 10 years in the program, active working with others, active sponsoring women, thank God, around the globe is the bright spot of my life. That like, I thought my problem was step 3 as a fellow, and I realized my problem was step 2. That I didn't come to believe today. I don't really believe that God could restore me. Step 3 is not my problem. I haven't even graduated to there, show off that I am, and can you talk about that when you lose faith, when you feel, when you're not feeling he's a good friend, when you're feeling that he's the one who rejected you in the popular club at school, or, broke you on the assembly line, or whatever metaphor you want to go for there.
Yeah.
Self-pity.
The self-pity stuff. Yeah, wait. You know, I like saying, because I used to be the guy to say, but you don't know, because I was the one who only knew. I shared my story the way I shared it, because there's a point where I paused and asked God, then what? I am fasting. I've done 40 days, Daniel's fast. I've done 21 days. I've done 10 days. Then what? There's a story in the Carpenter's book where a swindler didn't want to let go before he was given his promise. Then there's another piece where it says, having done all to stand, stand therefore. I used to say these things, but I never understood them. When I start building an idea of how I want things to run, I am normally just so a lot of where I am is, if I have, and I learned this from a gentleman in the program. I listened to the story so many times that I say it to myself as my life progresses. The story of the Chinese farmer. The Chinese farmer lived on a valley. He only owned a horse. And the landmaster allowed him to work the land, the piece of land that he had. He lost his horse, ran away. The people of the valley came to him and said, "You've lost everything. Now what?" He said, "Well, isn't it sad that you've lost everything? Now what?" He said, "I don't know if it's sad. I don't know if it's good. All I know is that we carry on." And while he was working in the field, some weeks after that, his horse came back with 5 other wild horses, and the people of the valley came back to him and said, "Whoa, my, you're now the richest man in the valley. How does it feel? Aren't you happy that you've had?" He said, "I don't really know if I'm happy. I don't even know if I'm sad. All I know is that we carry on." Soon after that, he was thrown off, the young man was thrown off the horse and broke his back and his leg while he was trying to break in one of the wild horses. And the people of the valley came back to him and said, "Oh, isn't it sad what happened to your son? Ah, look at him now, he's a cripple." And the old farmer said, "I don't know if it's sad. I don't know if it's good. All I know is that we carry on." And what happened soon after that, the Chinese army came and took the sons of the families to go fight in a war that they would never return. And at that moment, the old man knew that what he knows is that he does not know. It sits with me, that story, because I think the greatest form of enlightenment is not knowing. I would say to, as you mentioned, to someone who's been in the program long and stuff, I was like, when I lose my first love, my ex-fiancée was the worst person I've ever seen. When I lose the truth, when I lose the core, and if our program is bound on step 3, because the archway in architecture, you have that one arch on the one side and the other arch, and there's a keystone that affixes both the arches in place so they don't move in or move out. It's almost like they fall into one another right at that key place. So I sometimes hear, and I say this with the utmost of respect, I sometimes hear people say, "I have this God thing," but there isn't the God thing if you have created it. So sometimes I thought I'm being rejected in spaces, but I'm being protected, so my perception has to change. The one thing that I know is consistent is those quiet moments in the Spirit, those quiet moments with God, those moments that you sit by and say, "We will meet on this day," because my higher power is serious about time. If you set up a meeting there, he will be there, whether I show up or not. And some days I wake up in the morning and I don't meditate every single morning. But one thing I do to acknowledge my power, I say, good morning, higher power. How are you today? And if I don't do that, by the time I leave my door, I can feel that I am now working on a much lesser plane. Perhaps there is a better way. What if I continue to remind myself about God on a regular basis? Because this is what I believe now. I believe that if alcohol and drugs and everything out there could not fulfill me, then God can never be enough. Because if He's enough, it means He has limits. So I think my level of how close I want to get to Him is the limits that I put by in my own mind. So what if you break a limit? I mean, there's a story of a gentleman who walked with God and God took him. Why is it just a story? Why can't it be our experience? The only thing that's stopping us is our prejudices. If I sit and I paused and I asked myself in the beginning, why couldn't I get a hold of the program? It's because you would never tell me to change my mind. What if changing my mind is something great? What if just I don't have to do much in meditation and stop doing all this fancy stuff and just sit there? But I know that when I'm sitting there, this is the time that I've made with God, because God takes things seriously. And I think my walk with God wasn't like this always. I rejected the fact that His people could ever hurt me so much. I think Bill says to Christ to concede He's a good guy, but not too closely followed by His people. So I was hurt. I didn't even want anything. But when I was given an opportunity to let go of my prejudices and my ideas, I met who my maker was. And I'm comfortable with that. I will never be comfortable. I'll only be as comfortable as far as what I can hold my own delusions to be. Sometimes I say, what if we could actually fly? Obviously, I'm not going to go out there and fly. But hypothetically, I'm saying, how close can we be with our maker? He's created this. You want to tell me that the creator of Apple doesn't know the shortcut to certain things? But in order to know that, we have to spend time. There's a beautiful line in We Agnostics, right? I think it's the last line in We Agnostics. It says, when we draw near to Him, He discloses Himself to us. I read it like that because sometimes when you read it in the past tense, you might think that this is gone and it's not for now. But the big book actually tells us where God is. And it says, may you find Him now. So, yeah, that's what I'd say, Karen. I think it mostly stay with the moments, but spend time with your power. You're the only one who can discover that.
I have one more question. Maybe we could do it real quick. We have another question here. And I really need to wrap up. My phone is ringing off the hook here, but I find sometimes I need to pause, but the environment around me is not conceding with that. Like, I know I need to pause and chill, and I can't drive to as a grandmother, but then my children will be having a fit, or I need to I need to pause and meditate and be on this meeting. But here, my teenage daughter is calling me on every other phone nonstop. I do really need to get off. But, what do you have to say about that? It's like we don't live in a vortex, or, certainly there are some single people who live alone in recovery and that's their whole life. But many of us have families, jobs, coworkers. We're in a network of people who need us and are impacted. And yet we know that we can't be helpful if we're, restless, irritable, and discontent. What about that? And let's close with that.
Karen, it's going to be very short. 1 year is a moment to our higher power. If you pause for a second, you've paused for longer than what you think you have. I believe so. So I believe that the pause is just to understand that you are not alone. That's it. That's it. Very short. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. May we find him now. Would you like to say that prayer, you beautiful prayer you said one more time, and we'll end with that?
I will do so. Thank you once again, guys, and thank you for allowing me to be of service. The Great Spirit prayer. O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind, whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have made and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Help me to remain calm and strong in the face of all that comes towards me. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. Help me seek pure thoughts and act with intentions of helping others. Help me find compassion without empathy overwhelming me. I seek strength, not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes, so when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. Amen.
Amen. And thank you for being an intelligent spearhead of God's everlasting creation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight, still searching for glimmers of light, feet still on the ground. I can still be found, standing still.
My wings are torn and tattered, but I know I still can fly. I may not soar unfettered, I may not rise too high.
Recorded in the book of life and bind it with a seal that I am bowed and broken, I am standing still.
Only God knows where the path of life will yet lead me. I do not even ask to know, I do not need to see.
It is enough to know that I'm loved and not